Hello, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Anna Raful. I am your host of At This Stage, presented by Camp Broadway. Along with our partners at Streamable Learning, I am live from my apartment in New York City, connecting you with Broadway professionals, both on and off the stage, connecting them to you, our friends, our families, our students, and our teachers. I'm so excited you've chosen to join the next 35 minutes or so with myself and my fantastic guest today. Start thinking of those questions you have and put them in the Q&A feature. I promise to get to as many of them as I possibly can today. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest today, Miss Sheri Sanders. Hi, Sheri.
Hi, Anna. I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm going to do just a quick bio for our friends who are watching. So Sheri is the creator of the rock musical revolution, Rock the Audition. She coaches performers and their teachers to master all styles of popular music to successfully audition for pop and rock musicals. There are a couple of those nowadays. With the revised second edition of her book, Rock the Audition, on Amazon, her pop rock audition cuts on music notes, which I'll show you later, and her online training program, Sheri is passionately bridging the gap between popular music and musical theater. Sheri is continuing to mobilize inclusion efforts this spring with her platform Cause and Effect, the Broadway podcast network, and her Rock the Audition Coalition, which engages the musical theater industry in advocacy initiatives, piloting its college-level coalition this spring with Oklahoma City's University Musical Theater Program, which then will extend university-wide. Okay, we have a ton to talk about. Hi,
yes,
Sheri.
We do.
How are you? Where are you?
So I ran away from New York City.
Okay.
I work with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. I've been working with it for a handful of years. And so intuitively I went, wow, this is going to be triggering for me. So what do I need to do? So I left the city and I got a tiny little, I would call it a tree house. I got a little tree house in Massachusetts, and I'm taking care of my mental health because, I already worked with mental health. I don't want to call it mental health issues. I already worked with my mental health as a person who cares about it and cares about being well in the world. And I'm finding more and more with the stuff that's going on that we have to take care of. We all need to take care of our mental health. So in order to lead by example, I had to go, how can I take best care of myself so that I can take better care of other people? So I'm in Massachusetts and I'm in the sunshine right now and it feels great.
I love it. It's so picturesque behind you. I'm jealous. Okay, so let's go back before we get into the amazing work you do. Let's go back to the beginning. What are your earliest memories of theater, of music, of dance? How were you introduced to it?
Wow. I can tell you how the first time I knew that I was going to be doing something that involved theater or performing was at PS School number 5 in Yonkers, New York, when they were like, we're doing a talent show. And I was like, I'll sing. I didn't know if I could sing. I didn't know nothing about it. I was like, oh, I love the song Edelweiss from The Sound of Music. So I'll just sing that. And then I got a standing ovation and I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it meant. And then I just kind of put it away. And then I just kind of moved on. And then when I turned 13 and all my young emotions started to bubble, I wanted a place to put them. And so then that's how I found theater. And so I lived in Westchester. And so I just started joining all the summer camps and and we did musicals. And so I just started engaging as soon as just like everybody at Camp Broadway. It's just like, I need a place to put my feelings and to express myself. And the theater gave me an incredible community. And I just felt like there was space for me because I made people laugh. And that we all need a little bit of that every now and again, especially now.
Absolutely. What was your training like in high school? What kind of, besides the camps, did you study music or theater in school?
I had a private voice teacher when I was 13 years old, and I met her through my summer experience, and she put her hand on my shoulder because she heard me singing I Dreamed a Dream. This is when I was 13 years old, and it was on
Broadway.
Broadway.
Appropriate.
Well, I knew what that was, right? And we got to the part where it goes, as they turn your dreams to shame, Right, we got to there and I went, and I cracked and the whole room went, oh, and she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, you're coming with me. And that's really who started my career. Just as a performer, is I had somebody who knew what they were doing and saw it in me. And she was the one who actually sort of started me moving into becoming, I don't know, a young, I don't want to call myself a young professional, a person who's expressing herself with music in theater.
I love that. That's fantastic. She knew right away. She knew, even though you cracked, she knew there was something in there.
Well, everything up until the crack was pretty great.
I love that. I love that. That's so cool. So we discussed this a little earlier, but so you didn't take a traditional path to get to the theater world, which I love because as you know, everyone on Broadway has their own way of getting there.
Yeah, and the thing is that, and I love that we're talking about this too, because I am affiliated with about 83 musical theater programs as their sort of pop rock auntie, and every program is different, and every education is different, and it's really about personality, and it's really about who you relate to as your teachers. And so, to me, it's really. I am definitely somebody who kind of carved my own path, but it's not about how fancy the school is what combination of school and training do you feel like, wow, these are my people? And so to me, I started off as a performer going, well, I don't really, I can't say my people are theater people, so I was performing with them, but I think ultimately it isn't the path that we're on. Everybody has a different path because we're all dishes that have different seasonings in it and different components in it, and different ingredients, and we all take different times to cook, and we all cook in different ways. So that's why you should never really be like, I got to get into that fancy school. It's like, why don't you get into the school where you're like, oh my God, these are my people.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's where you'll really thrive.
Yeah. So take us to your past. So what was that journey like for you? Where did you go?
Well, I went to Emerson College, which is a great school in a great city, and I dropped out. And I want to say that for me, because I don't want to use that word for anybody else, but I would say that I feel like in my heart that the word dropout, and I would agree with you because we mentioned this before, it looks like it's a failure. In that moment, when I left, I felt like a dropout. When I left and I went, what do I need and what do I want? I want to be an actor. Okay, well, I've got to train. Great. Let me get myself a great acting teacher, a great voice teacher. Let me get myself into dance classes. Let me get myself into counseling, because it's hard to be competing in this environment and to be a professional performer, because it's cutthroat. It's hard. There's a lot of rejection. And so let me get myself some support. I got support. I got great acting teachers, and I started pursuing my craft. And that meant that I joined 2 theater companies, and I learned how to direct and paint sets and do the lighting. And I learned how to be a stage manager, and I learned how to step back and go, it's not my time, but I'm in service to somebody else's time. And so I learned how to become a collaborator. And so in a way, I kind of got a really great training, because I learned how to carve my own paths, ask for what I need, and then also find the right teachers, hone my skills, and then start using it in a way that, to me, at least creatively, felt like I was bringing my own unique spin to things. But again, I still study. So I do want to tell you that even though I left school after my freshman year, because the school environment wasn't for me and I needed to cater it to myself and my mental health, what I do know is that as long as you are honing your craft and you are making yourself the best you can be, then be a garbage man.
Right.
If you love it and you're passionate, focus on it and love it. That is all that matters to me. So that I ended up coming into something and feeling like, wow, this is how it goes. And I wasn't a carbon copy or a cookie cutter of a school. I was making my own choices and having my own mind. And they were like, wow, who are you making up your own mind about things? Yeah. And so I do believe college is essential for people, because I think that college is a great place for you to learn about yourself, learn about how to be in relationships with other people, learn how you study and how you need to study. You learn about yourself in college. I missed that part, which I wish I had. I learned about it myself later. But college matters. But your path, everybody's path is different. So don't ever compare yourself to another or even who came before you. You're too different.
I love all of that. Yes, absolutely. Yes, all of that. So where did Rock the Audition get, not to jump too far ahead, but what was the birth of Rock the Audition?
So Rock the Audition actually started out, and I think this is a really fun sort of, how it ended up happening was I grew up as a musical theater performer who loved musical theater, but I also loved pop rock music. So I grew up listening to the radio. I understood what it meant. I was disco dancing with my mother in the living room. It just all made sense as a young person, but I didn't know that they really related to each other until the auditions for Rent, where Rent was asking for you to sing something off the radio. And I'm like, I can sing anything off the radio. That's my jam. And so to me, it was like, oh, wait a minute. And so then at the time I was dating Amy Rogers, who runs the musical theater program at Pace University. She was my girlfriend at the time. She said, Sheri, I know you have mental health issues and I know you're working through them. I mean, it wasn't quite as eloquent at that time because we didn't have language for it. It was a long time ago.
Sure.
I know you're struggling. But you are a great rock singer and you're a great actress. You do traditional musical theater as an actress and you sing pop rock music. And she was literally like, I have a feeling you're going to be needed soon. Why don't you go ahead and go and play with that? Because you can really teach people what you already instinctively know and that people respond to you about. And where my mental health issue showed up was that I kept getting called back for all the big Broadway shows. I would get down to like me and a famous person for like Aida on Broadway, and my mental health stuff would come up and it would get in the way. And so she was really intuitive because she was like, you got to really sort of figure out what that is. Yeah. Because it's going to get you.
Absolutely.
And that's when I started my mental health process and my relationship with my mental health. And then I became a teacher in the meanwhile. And all of my creativity just came right through. Like all the stuff that I wanted to do as an actress, it was like, well, until you could figure out what you're doing with your mental health, what you're doing is important. So it's just going to come through this other way if you focus out. So I decided to become a teacher because then I could be in service to the community and give the community what I know and what I'm good at and develop it. And in the meanwhile, figure out what's going on with me so I can get back into acting. And the good news is I figured it out. I have PTSD and I'm in treatment and now I get to be in service to you and act at the same time. So it's very fun.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, except we're in a pandemic, which I also want to say in the moment, everybody, you're nailing it. This was the hardest thing to ever be in the whole world, everybody, just to stop the, car. All of us, Anna and Barb and me and Sunny and all of you, we all had to struggle really hard in this last couple of months. So I just want to say, if you got out of bed and you brushed your teeth, you nailed it. You nailed it, everybody.
Yes, I like that. That's perfect. That's so good.
Yeah. So, that's all I just wanted to do with intermission.
No, so good. So, okay, so take us through, I know I don't want to have you give all your secrets away, but
I have so many. I'll give too many.
So take us through, if someone hands you a rock song to sing, you have an audition for Rent, for
whatever.
Whatever.
Any rock musical, right.
So many of them. What is your way? How do you approach the song?
Well, it's such a great question because I can, what's funny is that everybody thinks when they think of a pop rock song, they think, oh God, I've got to scream this or riff it or show off something. But really what you need to do is understand the song's meaning and purpose, because pop rock is really just an umbrella, like traditional musical theater is an umbrella, right? There's traditional musical theater and pop rock. Traditional musical theater, I like to think of them as siblings, Anna. Traditional musical theater is the older sibling. So she's a little more refined, a little more type A. She plays by the rules.
Just gonna say that, follows the rules.
Follows the rules. Are you an oldest child?
I'm a middle.
You're the middle.
So I get it.
So there's a whole nother thing that's great about being the middle child, right?
Yeah.
There's all the gifts that gives us, right? So, but if we're two siblings, the younger sibling is pop rock. And that is the wilder, more emotional, more soulful, more, a parent would say, I already had a child. I know what happens now. You go run around in the woods, and if you crack your head open, come back and find me. there's a little more freedom, right, to be yourself because one kid has already been worked through, right? So if anybody relates to this who's listening, you know what I mean. So the first thing that I would say is that pop rock, as the younger sibling, has to be treated with the same care and thoughtfulness and sensitivity. It's just a different child. So with the older child with traditional musical theater, it's about, to me, you know, what's the scene, what's the scenario, what do I want to give, get, or do, what am I trying to accomplish in this scene? I'm Millie, and I'm going to the big city of dreams, and Jimmy's going to break my heart. With pop rock music, I'm Sheri, I'm 47 years old, I ran away from home, and I'm living in a tree right now, and I'm dealing with trauma, but this song pulls me out of it. Or I'm Sheri Sanders, I'm 47 years old, and it's 1962. And I'm in the kitchen cooking, and I've got 2 kids, and my husband's at work, and I'm in the kitchen, and I put Sam Cooke on the radio, and all of a sudden, I'm doing the twist and singing In My Spatula. Because, so the idea is that the character in pop rock music is you. It's popular music off the radio. It's not from a show, it's from real life. So what I would say is when you find out what song it is, or someone says, bring me a pop rock song, you have to ask, well, what kind? Do you want one from the Motown era, the 50s and 60s, when I'm doing the twist? Or do you want one from the Vietnam era, which is the 70s folk rock era, where I'm dodging the draft? Or do you want me to do it or do you want a disco song where I'm voguing and living in, you know, where Drag Race came from, their grandmothers, and I'm living with their grandmothers, and I'm surviving being queer or Black and holding a safe space? Or is it the 80s and I'm on MTV, I'm in an MTV video? What I do is I say, go back in time to where your parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles lived, and find the music that got them through hard times. And so that's what it is I would say, what time period does your music exist in? First thing. Then I would go, what was life like back then? What was the music? What were people like? How did they move? How did they talk to people? What was going on in the world socially, politically, economically that would make you move like that or sing like that? Who are the artists, and how did they change society? And how did we change society with music? So I would ask you to go back in time to where that song was born and put yourself in the shoes of the people who were back then, and let that song give you emotion. That is what I would do. So that would be the first step, is find out what time period it lived in. Then I would find out what that time period or world is like. Yeah. Then I'd put yourself right in it. That to me is that's sort of the formula. If you don't do it, we don't find out what you're like, because then we don't go, wow, this song makes me want to do the Watusi or something. You know, like, I want to know what the song does to you, rather than seeing you move a plot with it. It's off the radio. There's no plot. We're singing in the shower. Right. Right. There's no plot. Yeah. No, I love that. That's fantastic. I've got a couple questions here. Yeah. All right. So I have a question from Joe. So you talked a little bit about not screaming. Can you give some vocal, an example of what they want instead? Oh, what? Yes, I can. Go ahead. Sorry. I want to do that one too, but just any vocal health, especially pop rock, 8 times a week. Oh yeah. So it's a fantastic. Oh, I fell over. I'm back. That's okay. Here we go. Hold on. Let me get back to. There we go. Woo! I got so excited. I took myself down. Okay, there we go. Yes. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to tell you is, you're right. We don't want screaming. We want to know that you have a healthy voice that could sing 8 times a week, 8 shows a week, totally healthy. And so, because of that, we're looking for style. And so what I want you to think of is this. It's a simple formula, but I think it's really going to help. Your voice teachers, you need to listen to everything they say. When you think about pop rock, you don't want to throw your technique away and start screaming emotionally. What you want to do is think of it like this. We've got a stove in the kitchen. There's 2 burners on it. On one burner is your technique, and it's cooking on low. because it has been cooking for a long time and the technique works and it's good, right? On the other burner is emotion and style. So what we want to do is we want you to take your technique and add the qualities of the 50s and 60s, the percussiveness. Judy's turn to cry, Judy's turn to cry. You know, we want it to sound like the world's. The screaming and the skrelting and the riffing is what we do after hours at 54 Below when we do these concerts after we've had a couple of cocktails and we're loose and we're setting ourselves free. That's not the audition room. In the audition room, we want to know you have taste. So really what we're looking for from you as young people who are in a really rough world, in a rough time, trying to survive and find a place to put your feelings, you get to go, wow, well, in the 70s folk rock era, I listen to Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and the Who, and they are getting their emotions out, right? But I'm a trained singer, so I can feel my emotions and it will show up on my voice. And that's what I'm trying to say is you don't have to sound like it's rough. You don't have to put qualities on it. If you're emotional and you're feeling raw inside, it will come off as raw on your voice. And it will sit there with your technique and not hurt it. So to me, what we're looking for is how do you feel? And could you put your feelings, scoop some feelings out and put them on a dish with the technique that you put on the dish. And the technique and the feeling is all we want. So please believe me. Yes, a riff is lovely. Yes, a great straight tone soaring on a high note because you're emotional is great. But all the stuff you see, all of those things, that's all like, they're party tricks. And we don't want party tricks. We want real, authentic, emotional connection. And we want to hear your emotion traveling on your voice. So we want you to sound like it has the raw emotion of punk. Or we want you to sound like a guitar when you're singing country music, you know, or a mandolin. We want qualities of aesthetic, not belting, skrelting, screaming, riffing. None of that matters in the audition room. We want your feelings. So it's a relief in a way that when you go, I can't do that. It's like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You just got to do your version of whatever it is. And that's what we want.
Oh my gosh. I love that imagery of the two burners. It's just so
God,
clear.
Never let your technique go. And because we don't want, people are mic'd. These people who are singing popular music are on a mic. They're vocoded and auto-tuned. While it sounds like they're screaming, they're actually just singing. So that's all you need to do. And it's really, I would say it's almost like effect versus effort. Anna, if that makes sense to you, I think we want to give the effect that we're letting her rip. Yeah. But really just take care of our technique and be emotional. And if we think of that, then we can never harm all the work that we've done because we're never going there. Yeah. We don't want screaming. Screaming also comes off as angry. It comes off as angry and it makes us feel defensive when we're sitting there listening to you. And it's like, I don't want to know that you're mad. I don't want to know that you're sad. I want to know that you're in trouble and you want out. You don't like this feeling. This feels bad to you. This pain doesn't feel good. You want something more instead of I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. It's like, I'm mad at a lot of people right now, but I can't tell them I'm mad at them. I got to handle my life. But what you can do is say, I'm upset because my heart's broken, and then reveal the vulnerability underneath the anger. And then I'll throw all my money at you. You take my money, you take my blender, take my car. You have my entire savings because you're that cool. Yes. Oh my gosh. I want your vulnerability, your feelings. I want what it feels like to be bullied and what girls are like at school when they're rough with you. I want to know what it's like to be queer or to have trouble with your gender expression. Like, I want to know all these things, and popular music holds all of it. It holds, if you're neurodiverse, if you have a disability, it just holds you no matter who you are. So that's what I love about it, is that popular music is a place for you to explore who you are. Not what characters you're right for or who you want to play, but what you're like as a person and what things mean to you. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Amazing. Isn't that fun? I know. What? It's fun. Oh, so liberating. Fun. I have a question from Molly. Yeah, you mentioned earlier auditions. How can you get over these nerves? You know, she said she's auditioned a number of times and done well, but those nerves just sometimes get the better of you. Mm-hmm. Any tips for our young aspiring actors and actresses? to be perfectly honest, and thank you for not minding that people are deciding to trim the bushes on our first nice day in Massachusetts.
You're good.
But nerves. And I don't know if you agree with me on this. I have a particular emotion about nerves, and I think they're really valuable. I think that nerves are going, hey, you push me down all day. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out.
Yeah.
You keep me in and you judge me and you tell me I'm terrible all day long. And you make me feel bad. Let me out and let me be free. And I think that that's really what our nerves are, is that it's our stuck energy wanting to come out. And because it is, I'm going to use the word dysregulating, but it's confusing and scary. And sometimes it takes our songs away from us. We go, no, stop it. And so instead, I want you to go, fly, butterflies, fly out of my body, get out of there and fly free. Yeah. And I think that if we know that it's there because it's saying, come on, I want to play. And it's tricky coming out because it's tricky the way you keep me in. If we let it out, then it becomes your free spirit inside the material. So rather than hating it, just step out of the way and make room for it to come out and let you be.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so really quickly, not really quickly, but talk to us about Rock the Audition Coalition.
Wow.
We do have a lot of, students starting to think about school and what are you doing with the colleges? You said 63, 80.
I affiliate, 83 musical theater programs. I would say most of them are colleges, but there are summer music theater programs and, different programs all over that I just play, that I play with however they want me to play with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so lucky for me to be that person for people, to come in and bring sunshine and education. But I think that, ask me the question again one more time.
Just about Rock the Coalition. So you're starting the inaugural, the Rock the,
yes.
Yeah.
Rock the Audition Coalition. Yeah, so here's the exciting news. We started a coalition because, and again, just going back to originally, I was somebody who had PTSD and I was undiagnosed, which meant that I have trauma in my body and I didn't understand it and it was getting in the way. So now I'm working with the trauma and I'm in a relationship with it, right? So because I was experiencing that, I found myself with other people who were marginalized. And because of that, I was like, wow, so there are people with disabilities who don't get to be on stage. Ali Stroker, our friend Ali Stroker was one of my students. Yeah. Wow, people with disabilities don't get to be on stage. People who have neurodiversities like Asperger's and autism, they just kind of get pushed away because they're weird. And there are all these people and people who are mixed race and just people who are Black, anybody who's of any color. We just don't know how to be with people. So they were all with me in the margins. Yeah. So I went, come on, everybody, let's get out of these margins. And so I decided to become somebody who started to teach and train people in the margins for free because I wanted to learn how to train an actor from being somebody who's biologically male into their authentic selves who may be female identified. I wanted to be a teacher who helped people to find out how to get inside of themselves to find their authentic selves. So that started happening. And then we decided to create a coalition because I couldn't be the only person doing it. And I realized, oh my God, I'm not. A lot of people are doing this on their own and we all are separate from each other. Why don't I just bring us all together so that the neurodiverse community could hold space for the LGBTQIA+ community, so that the Black community could hold space for the neurodiverse community, and so that as a coalition, we could all take care of each other and make this place better. So I started it in the city with the disability and accessibility. Then we had a mental health initiative, and now Oklahoma City University is piloting our college coalition. And so we met with them all summer. We got together with a handful of the teachers and a bunch of the students, and we said, what's going on in this school that is making people feel isolated, that is harming people's mental health, that is making people feel marginalized? What's happening? And everybody has been speaking openly about it and then creating tools for change. So they are the first college to actually change from the inside from the musical theater program because we're the people to do it. Yeah. We're the community that can accept and then show other people how to be more accepting. So it's starting at Oklahoma City University and then may it spread to their full university and then out to all the other colleges and the teen programs. Camp Broadway and Sunny is my collaborator here on this. So you get to play with me and Sunny.
Yes, I love that. That's so cool. It's so amazing and so needed at all of those universities, especially
Well, yeah,
where
and for
people are
freshmen
figuring out
coming
who
in,
they are.
yeah, and so when you know, oh wow, there are people, so you know, maybe you have Asperger's, and maybe there are people who maybe you don't even know that you do, and then you find out that you do, and you're like, oh my God, they have a group of neurodiverse actors and
Yeah.
teachers who know how to work with them. What?
Yeah.
So you're gonna get the
Yeah.
best out of me? You know, and so because the world is in such chaos right this minute, what we get to do is we get to go, okay, well, Mother Nature just stopped the car. So while we're here, let's rearrange our mental furniture and get this place better. And so that's what's so cool, that I get to collaborate with you and Camp Broadway and Sunny, and that we, and all of you folks there, is that Camp Broadway cares about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very, very much. Always has.
Yes. I have another question from Riley. Riley wants to know, and I think this is a good segue into what you wanted to share. I really love pop rock music, punk music, pop rock punk music. I've never attempted to sing it aside from just with the radio. Where do you recommend starting? Any beginner tips if I'm new to singing the pop rock genres? Can I share your
Absolutely, the Spotify
this amazing resource
would be the first. Yeah, let's start with Spotify. I think that's a fantastic place to start.
I don't have the Spotify. I only have this delightfulness.
Oh,
Sorry.
Okay. That's actually fine, because if you have the audition cuts page, the Spotify stations secretly live on this page, so we can click through.
Okay, perfect.
So everybody, and Anna, thank you so much. You are a fantastic facilitator of great conversations.
My
pleasure. So everybody, about 3 years ago, Music Notes, who I'm sure you know because you sing their music, they hired me to create audition cuts. The reason why is because everybody was going to Music Notes for the music that they would sing for their auditions, and it was neither cut nor arranged to be sung in an audition room. So I had already been doing it on my own for 5 years, and I called them up and I just said, hey, you know, you want to make money off me or what? And so they were wonderful. And so we created this audition cuts page. And basically there are what I would say 8 styles of popular music currently represented on Broadway. As well, they've asked me to do audition cuts in traditional musical theater also, because it's very competitive. And audition cuts, and Anna, you'll probably find this very curious, but because there's so many people competing, it's not 16 or 32 bars anymore. It's 30 to 45 seconds for a non-union cut, and a minute and 15 seconds for a union cut.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people competing now, and it has to be timed. So what I did was I created audition cuts that fit everybody's rules, that have great stories. Anna, can we just show them the filter? And everybody, you could find this on Music Notes. If you go musicnotes.com/audition, or just go on the internet, you'll find it. Anna is kind enough to click on the genre right now. And if you click on that, goddess, yes, these are all of the styles currently represented on Broadway in popular music that people don't even realize. So even just to speak about that, can you click on, let's do 80s. If you can click on 80s, Anna, yeah. All of these songs are fantastic 80s pop rock songs that are cut and arranged for an audition setting or an education setting. The arrangements are great. They take very, very good care of you. And what I love about it is, let's look at, hold on a second, can you stand still? Carry On Wayward Sun. You see where that is? So as you can see, Carry On Wayward Sun by Kansas, do you see, everybody, how many different styles?
Oh, sorry.
That song, oh, that's okay.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
No problem. Oh, no, actually, could you, yeah, it needs to go back one page. Thank you. When we go back to the page before, everybody, what you'll see is that Carry On My Wayward Son is a song that I would say has good bones, which means you could sing Carry On My Wayward Son for an audition for Godspell or Hair. You could sing it for, my goodness, Jesus Christ Superstar. You could sing it for any of the 80s musicals, Rock of Ages, We Will Rock You, School of Rock. It literally is, it will tell you all of the styles that it covers. You don't even have to go back to it because I think it's being fussy. You know what you can do, Anna, though, instead? Because they can find this on their own.
Yeah.
just scroll a little bit to the top so that we can click on wherever that little video of me is.
Mm-hmm.
Next to it, that's where you can, one of the places you can find my Spotify stations. Yeah. Can you click on Spotify playlists, my dear? Yeah, right there. So that's one of the places, everybody, where you can find me on Spotify. What I've done is all of the styles that I have made audition cuts for, I've also made Spotify stations for, which means you don't have to go to your teachers and go, what do I sing? What do I sing? You can, if you need an 80s pop rock song, you can go to my 80s pop rock Spotify station, study the 80s, study the singing, study the way they listen to music, like study the style of the 80s. There it is. Oh, that's Motown.
Yeah, you want 80s?
Oh yeah, just scroll down to 80s. It's one of those things that I know it's slow pokey, so don't even worry about it because we can make sure everybody gets there. But this is just an example of, this is the Motown. We can use the Motown one as an example because it's right here. Oh yeah, there's the 80s. So if you click on this, it will take you to my 80s station. And why I love the Spotify stations, which are free, is that while you're looking for an 80s song, you get to study the style.
Mm-hmm.
You get to learn about the qualities and the styles of the 80s, which are totally different than the 50s and 60s, totally different than the Vietnam era, totally different than disco, totally different than country. I mean, they're all so different. What you could do is you could really focus on the style that your song lives in and all the other styles that either your song could also live in or that other songs live in. So basically, this tells you the sound and the quality of the world. And while you're learning the quality of the world, you go, oh my God, that's my song. That's my song. And Anna, don't you agree there's something different about when you pick out a song for somebody and somebody finds their song?
Absolutely, because you know, like you said, you know what you connect with, what you feel in your bones, and it's better. I mean, once you get a voice teacher who does know you really well, that's helpful, but especially if you're in high school, I knew nothing of what to sing. I would just listen and you see what you connect with.
And that's the thing, is that to me, as young people, as teens, you have a lot of emotions. You have a ton of them. And sometimes they got nowhere to go. And what's amazing is that you're going to be able to find songs that go, oh my God, those are my feelings. And I didn't even know that that's what they were. And how will you find them if you're only listening to Sarah Bareilles? If you're listening to I love Sarah Bareilles, trust me. But if you listen to who Sarah Bareilles listened to, and who those people listen to, then you're going to grow. Then you're going to sound like you and not like Sarah Bareilles, you know? And so that's the whole idea, is go to the aunties and the uncles and the cousins and the mother and the father and the grandmother. That is where you will learn to sing. And the Spotify stations are the whole family, and you could visit with any of them or all of them anytime.
It's amazing. That's just so wonderful that that resource is there. Before I get rid of you, before I leave you today, I just had one final question, which is Camp Broadway. Our motto is develop your character. So what does character mean to you?
I love that, because I always say and it's such a wonderful marriage, because I always say the character is you. And when I was saying in popular music in particular, the character is you. It's nobody else but you. And to say, what does character mean? It means, what is your point of view on the world? How do you see things? Because when you come into an audition room, I actually am going to want to know, I'm going to be able to want to know, based on how you live in your material, how your presence in the world is making it better. And how are you contributing? Are you contributing by coming into the room and going, oh my God, you're going to love this song, and I'm giving you a moment of joy when everybody's screaming angry at you? That is what I'm going to give you today. Or everybody says I'm a little different. I'm going to show you what the part of me is like, and I'm not going to judge myself, but I'm going to be vulnerable to that. That act of vulnerability is an act of generosity. The generosity of, what can I give you right now so that you and I could feel either better or more connected to ourselves. So character is, how are you acting out of generosity so that the world can be better, and how are you coming through clear enough so that we can see you?
Perfect. Yeah. Can you remind everyone before we leave how they can find you, all of your fantastic social media in this?
Oh yeah, a really fun place to follow me, because I'm always there, is at Rock the Audition on Instagram. I always have
in the chat.
Sure. Thank you, my dear. And thank you, Camp Broadway. I'm so happy to get to be with you. It's yeah, at Rock the Audition. Actually, right now I'm in the middle of a I guess it's a contest, but we're doing a on-camera acting for musical theater contest. We're having people use the camera on their phone and create little rock videos with their
cool.
pop rock music from Music Notes. So if your Camp Broadway family wants to go over there just to sort of see the professional musical theater industry play with this new platform that we're learning about in the moment, there's always tons of great content there, and it's also very inclusive. My book is the first musical theater acting book with inclusive language.
Amazing, amazing. So cool. Well, thank you very much for spending your time with me today.
Anna,
my friends, follow Sheri and all of her fantastic things. Follow Camp Broadway on all of our social media, all that fun stuff. Make sure to join us next week, same time on Thursday, with Allie Solomon, Broadway performer and choreographer. She'll be so cool. She's had so many different experiences. I can't wait to talk to her. Thank you again, Sheri.
And it's great to talk to you. Thank you, Camp Broadway, and everybody. You're amazing. Take this summer and breathe. You got this. We're going to come out the other side in an incredible way.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for having me.